In former CIA Director and former Defense Secretary Robert Gates. Mr. Secretary, thanks very much for joining us. Your new book, A Passion for Leadership, has been getting wide reviews, positive reviews, and we want to talk with you about that as well. Mr. Secretary, thanks for being here.
Thank you very much.
Can you characterize where we are in the world today when you look at what's going on in terms of ISIS having gotten stronger? It's not a country, it's a network. In terms of what's happening in the Middle East right now, the Saudis versus the Iranians, North Korea. What's your takeaway?
I think that we've not faced as many different kinds of challenges simultaneously in a very long time as we're looking at now, whether it's the whole Middle East, as you say, North Korea, Russia, China, Iran, and frankly, what I'm hearing in the campaign rhetoric are some very simplistic answers to how we deal with some of these challenges.
So talk to us about that. Simplistic in terms of whether or not you want to send troops on the ground. I mean, what's been most troublesome?
Well, I think some of the rhetoric about carpet bombing, about making the sand glow, about bombing them to death and so on is frankly just unrealistic. It's not going to accomplish the military objective. It takes no account of potential civilian casualties. It's a simplistic answer to what is a complex and long-term problem. And frankly, I think candidates ought to be more honest with the American people that there are no simple solutions to how we degrade and destroy ISIS.
Yeah, this is very important that you're making this statement, Mr. Secretary, and I think our audience would agree with you. So tell us what you feel would be the best solutions in dealing with some of these issues, in particular ISIS, when you're dealing with really a network which knows no boundaries and which has become stronger over the last few years.
Well, we've slowly and I think on the part of the administration reluctantly begun to do the things that we should have been doing a number of months ago in terms of increased number of special operations forces on the ground, helping the Iraqi security forces, advising them and training them, having special operations forces helping the Sunni tribes that are willing to resist ISIS, helping the Kurds. I think we ought to be providing weapons directly to the Sunnis and to the Kurds who are willing to help us and work with us. Clearly intensified air campaign with forward air controllers and spotters to help us be more accurate in the targeting. I think all of these things, I continue to believe that a safe haven in Syria for the refugees, perhaps along the Turkish border, is important. So there are a number of these things that we're slowly doing, but it's been very gradual. We've come late to these things, and many of us have been suggesting these things for a number of months. But the idea of carpet bombing and so on is just not going to solve the problem. And even though ISIS has lost some territory, maybe a third of its territory over the last year or so, as you alluded to, we're seeing ISIS activity in Libya and in other places around the world, not to mention their efforts to try and recruit operatives in the United States, in Western Europe, and elsewhere to carry out, if you will, lone wolf attacks that put everybody on edge and give everyone a sense of insecurity. And so going after this more aggressively, I think internally we have really good capabilities for counterterrorism, and we need to keep working at that. But I think we need to involve, frankly, more local community leaders in Muslim communities here in the United States. Go after parents in the sense of getting them to warn local authorities if they see one of their sons being radicalized and so on. So it's a comprehensive kind of thing we have to do.
You know, right now we've got, what, 1,000 investigations in terms of potential links or ISIS situations within the United States. Can you characterize how big of a threat and a worry it is in terms of lone wolf attacks who are sympathizers to ISIS within the United States right now?
Well, I think, first of all, we have the best counterterrorism capabilities in the world. and we have the resources dedicated to the problem. But you just suggested we have 1,000 investigations going on. I can't recall any time in my career when we had as many potential threats inside the United States as that suggests. So it is a major challenge. It's a major effort that we have to undertake to track these things down. And the problem with lone wolf attacks inside the United States is that if they're carried out by an American citizen, it makes it much more difficult for the FBI and law enforcement authorities to identify them and track them.
And, of course, one of the things that FBI Director Jim Comey has said in the past is that it is difficult to track terrorism online and through communication when there's so much encryption going on. In other words, technology companies need to allow government to better track what's happening. What is your view on this?
Well, I am concerned that at the resistance of some of these companies to figuring out a way to work with the government to allow the authorities to try and track some of this activity. A lot of the recruitment effort, a lot of the radicalization is happening online and in social media. And so figuring out how to get at that and to provide us early warning, I think, is a major challenge. And I wish that there could be a closer degree of cooperation between some of those companies and the federal government in going after this problem.